A friend of mine posted a picture on Facebook the other day. 6 friends on a beach boardwalk, a sign behind them pointing toward Montauk in the Hamptons, a house on the water in the background. Somebody commented and made it about race. I looked at the same picture and saw something else. I saw access. I saw who gets invited to that house, that beach, that weekend in the first place. I saw money and comfort and a world that a lot of people, black and white, never get close to. That's the moment this whole episode came from. Because here's what I've noticed, especially in my own community. We reach for race first, almost automatically. And I get why. The history is real, the reasons are real. But sometimes what we're actually looking at isn't a race story. It's a class story, wearing a race costume. And when we only have one lens, we miss what's actually happening in front of us. America has always had a class problem. Race is often the lens we use to talk about it, but class is the foundation underneath. And nowhere made that clearer to me than my own hometown. New Orleans understood hierarchy from the very beginning. The French didn't just build a city, they built a ladder. Status, wealth, bloodline, who's in and who's out. That conversation never ended. We just stopped calling it what it is. Most people picture slavery in America as one simple line, black and white, enslaved and free. New Orleans never worked that way. Under French and then Spanish rule, the city built a 3-tiered system. White at the top, enslaved people at the bottom, and in between, a class the rest of the South barely had at scale. Free people of color, educated, propertied, some of them wealthy, some of them, uncomfortably, enslavers themselves. Status in this city was never just about skin color. It was about lineage, money, education, who your family was. There was a whole vocabulary for gradations of ancestry, because the hierarchy needed fine distinctions to sort people by more than just black or white. That's not a footnote. That's the blueprint. New Orleans ran class and race through the same machine at the same time from day one. After slavery ended, that hierarchy didn't disappear. It just stopped using the old words. Take Mardi Gras. The old line krewes, Comus, Momus, Proteus, weren't just parade clubs. They were private, invitation-only societies for the established elite. Membership passed down through families. Getting in wasn't about talent or money alone. It was about lineage. That's caste, wearing a costume. And here's the part I think about a lot. Zulu, the black crew, formed as a direct answer to that exclusion. Working-class black New Orleans, dock workers and laborers, building something of their own because the doors were shut. But even Zulu had its own line. The light-skinned Creole elite had their own exclusive social clubs, and they didn't always welcome darker-skinned or working-class black residents either. Even the club built to answer the exclusion excluded people by the same logic. That's the whole thesis in one sentence. This was never simply black against white. Hierarchy replicated itself inside the community too, sorted by skin tone, by money, by which family you came from. Class using race as one of its tools, even within a single race. You can still see the map today. Which side of Claiborne Avenue, which neighborhoods got rebuilt fastest after Katrina, and which are still waiting. The lines moved from old family names to property values and good school districts. But it's the same ladder, just relabeled. New Orleans isn't unique. It's just honest about something the rest of the country prefers to keep quiet. Redlining was class policy wearing racist clothes, entire neighborhoods locked out of loans and investment, and the effects compounded for generations. Good schools became code for property values. Safe neighborhood became code for who could afford to live there. None of that language mentions race directly. It doesn't have to. The sorting still happens. That's why the picture on that boat got read as a race story so fast. Race is the language we already have. Class is harder to name, harder to point at, so we default to the vocabulary that's familiar, even when it's not the most accurate one. I grew up here, in New Orleans, and I wasn't taught most of this. My education was heavy on the French colonial story, the architecture, the culture, the romance of the city, and light on everything underneath it. I didn't learn about Juneteenth as a kid. I didn't learn about the caste system, the free people of color, any of it. I found this as an adult, piece by piece, and it changed how I see my own hometown. I'm not saying this from a place of grievance. My own life hasn't been shaped by racism in any direct way, and I still believe, fundamentally, that this is a good country. But a good country can still have blind spots, and this is one of them. We've had the vocabulary for race for a long time. We're still building the vocabulary for class. Until we have both, we're going to keep misreading the picture in front of us. So next time something looks like a race story, a boat, a neighborhood, a school, a Facebook comment, I'd just ask, is that actually what's happening? Or is there a ladder underneath it that we've stopped calling by its name?